Good afternoon or good morning, depending on when this video goes out. This is video number 3, filmed this afternoon, the day after my birthday. French MPs vote to scrap low emission zones. I'm a couple of days late on reporting this one, but I wanted to make a video because it's important. You should also know that France is like on fire at the minute. Check out the Lotus Eaters coverage of what's been going on in Paris. Yeah, worrying. There's no low emission zones in Paris when everything's burning. Right, France's National Assembly has voted to abolish low emission zones, a key measure introduced during President Emmanuel Macron's first term to reduce city pollution. So-called ZFEs, zone à faibles emissions, sound a bit German then, didn't I? Have been criticised for hitting those who cannot afford less polluting vehicles the hardest. Oh, it sounds familiar, doesn't it? It sounds like ULEZ and low traffic neighbourhoods and livable neighbourhoods and livable cities and all the other stuff that we hear about that actually just impacts the least well off in society. A handful of MPs from Macron's party joined opposition parties from the right and far right. The right and far right these days were what used to be people in the middle who want to be left alone and want decent Christian values. We're now all far right. They joined the far right, as I said, normal people that have Christian values, in voting 98 to 51, wow, it's a good vote, to scrap the zones, which have gradually been extended across French cities since 2019. The motion was put forward by Pierre Mourin of the far-right National Rally and backed by some motoring organisations. It was a personal victory for writer Alexandre Jardin, who set up a movement called Les Jeux Beggars, arguing that ecology has turned into a sport for the rich. What a great quote from an active French person. Ecology has turned into a sport for the rich. It's true. It's true. Conservationism is a luxury. You're not going to be asked about conservationism and protecting species and looking after the environment if you're just trying to get by if you're poor. This is the whole problem. This is what makes a mockery of the whole environmental movement, because the environmental movement is a luxury of the West. Go to countries that have all of these problems and they do not care because they're just trying to get by. That's why China pollutes as much as it does, and that's why Africa is such a mess, even after everything Bono has done for them. What have the Romans ever done for us? No, it's not that doesn't work in the context of Bono. What was it? I saw an article today. There's something like £800 million has been raised by Bono and his cronies, and only 5 million has actually made it. So I can't remember the statistics, but it's something like that. You know, if all the money and wells that Bob and Bono have done got to Africa, everyone will have clean water and they'd all have a cow. Something like that. No, you're not allowed cows, because cows are bad. I've got a video. This is a terrible video. I've got a video coming up about that as well, in Holland or Denmark. Don't know. I'd have to look at my notes. They're now going to fine farmers £75 per cow because cows are polluting the environment. It's just like our basic understanding of ecology and nature and the carbon cycle has gone out of the window, just like everybody's basic understanding of human science and disease control went out the window in 2020. Everyone played their part, says Alexandre Jardin. The MPs voted either for the end of this nightmare or they abstained. He told Le Figaro newspaper they were afraid of going back to their constituencies if they had voted against the abolition of the clean air zones. The low emission zones began with 15 of France's most polluted cities in 2019, and by the start of this year had been extended to every urban area with a population of more than 150,000, with a ban on cars registered before 1997. This one's okay, because it was registered in 1997. That one's banned, because that one's in 1996. This one's got 159,000 miles on it, and is in perfect working order. And that one, we don't even know the mileage, but that's also in perfect working order. That car was MOT'd last week. This one was MOT'd about 3 weeks ago. Both of these cars have nothing wrong with them and have been fastidiously maintained by myself and the previous owners. That is the very definition of environmentalism. Make, do and mend. Make one and look after it. Fair enough, I've got 2 of them, but I don't need this one, which it will probably end up going up for sale eventually, because the diesel one's now back on the road. If you want a really good turbo petrol Volvo with an R interior, I could be tempted to part with my brown one. Anyway, we're not talking about that. Those produced after 1997 need a Crit Air sticker to drive in low emission zones, and there's 6 categories that correspond to various types of vehicle. The biggest restrictions have been applied in the most polluted cities, Paris and Lyon, as well as Montpellier and Grenoble. We never bothered with any of those stickers. I've done loads of European driving, and everyone's like, oh, Jeff, have you got your Crit Air? No, I haven't got my Crit Air sticker. They've turned into something of a lightning rod for Macron's opponents. Marine Le Pen condemned the low emission zones, the ZFEs, as no rights zones during her presidential campaign for National Rally in 2022, and her communist counterpart warned of a social bomb. The head of the right-wing Republicans in the Assembly, Laurent Wauquiez, talked of freeing the French from stifling punitive ecology. And on the far left, Clémence Guette said green policy should not be imposed on the backs of the working classes. That's exactly what happens. The green policies are always on the backs of the working classes. The rich aren't party to this. They don't care. It's just to prevent the movement of you and I. And when people realise this, that's when they start to sit up and take notice. The government tried to head off Wednesday night's revolt by watering down the restrictions, by also preserving the zones in Paris and Lyon, and this amendment was defeated by a large margin. Agnès Pannier-Runacher, the Minister for Green Transition, told MPs that air pollution is behind almost 40,000 premature deaths a year. The low emission zones have helped bring down that number. Effing prove it. There's another Sadiq Khan, isn't it? Making statistics up as they go along. Sort your problems out in France with migration. That's what you need to do. Where were we? Down Milo, where the bridge is. We drove that Volvo, actually, to Portugal some years ago, and we ended up going via Milo, and Milo was lovely. The nightlife, you know, it was nice. It was pleasant to walk around on a night time. When I went last year with Lee, when we raced down to Benidorm in the Volvo V70R interior, it was horrible. It just wasn't a nice place to walk around. I left the hotel, I walked around and was like, really? And like the decline, even in those 5 years, was very noticeable. So France, sort that out before you talk about 40,000 premature deaths a year from air pollution from cars. The Greens and Socialists also voted to maintain the zones because they're Greens and Socialists. Green Senator Anne Souris told BFM TV that killing the zones also means killing hundreds of thousands of people, said the Socialist MP. Prove it, get your science out, come on, prove it. You want to talk about killing hundreds of thousands of people, there's a lot of other things that we could address before we start talking about pollution, like health and the fact that McDonald's exists and soft drinks exist, you know, sugar, all those additives and everything that's in our diet. But that's okay, because make money out of it. Oh, there you go, there's the answer, isn't it? It's all okay if you're making money. Gérard Luzuel said the vote sent a negative signal as it did not address the reduction that had to be made to levels of air pollution. The abolition is expected to go through the upper house, France's Senate, but it still needs to be approved in a broader bill in the lower house in June, and will have to be approved by France's Constitutional Council, which is not guaranteed. So it seems like countries are moving in the right direction, and that direction is pro-freedom and anti-stopping you from going places in your old car. It sounds so stupid when you put it like that, isn't it? Doesn't it sound so stupid? You're allowed to go and kill yourself by eating highly processed fast food that is cooked in highly processed seed oils that we know cause cancer, but you're not allowed to drive your Volvo through Montpellier. Thanks for watching.